Welcome to the Football Show here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Kerry, Pollock, Alan Ruff and Bob Malcom are here with me. The transfer window has officially closed. Some teams have been busier than others, guys. Let's start with Rangers then, Bob. A total of 14 signings, a ballpark figure of £32 million spent. What do you make of the business that Rangers have done in this window?
There's been some good, some not proved themselves yet, I think. Is a way to put it. I don't think you can put it down to them being bad signings at the moment. They've only been in the door for a matter of months. A lot of them being kids as well, so they've got to get time to bed in. And obviously the ones that on the deadline day worth a lot of money, so they'll have to prove themselves straight away with the price tags that they're brought in. Yeah,
absolutely. Have they strengthened in the right areas?
Still, I think definitely needed a centre half and another striker with Miovski. Especially with Deser's going, that's the goals coming out of the team. So they have. Some will say probably need another right back. I know Tav's into last year's contract, and they've brought in Aaron's on loan, but he's not set the heather on fire yet. So, but they've got their squad now. The manager's been saying for weeks that he wants the window to close so that he can get step on with things. So. That's it done now, so he's got to prove his worth.
Yeah, that's it. You mentioned Dessers there, obviously leaving for Panathinaikos. A bit of an unpredictable player in his time at Rangers, I think would be fair to say.
Yeah, he was unpredictable, but it's
a fan favourite as well.
Yeah. Well, most of the fans, but there was obviously it swayed the opinion of the fans. Some didn't like him, some did, but I thought he should have been in the Rangers team every week. I probably thought he should have started on Sunday before Miovski. But as I said, he scored lots of goals, but he also missed a lot, and you get that with a striker. And the good ones, when you miss, they come back and they score. That's it,
Ruffy. As I said, they're £32 million roughly. That's an incredible figure.
It certainly is. You know, obviously the new owners have backed the manager. We kept on hearing about the manager would be going here and going there if he wasn't getting results, but I think they've handled it very well. I think they've come out and they've met the players, they've met the manager before the game. They've told everybody that they are buying into, time, and the manager's repeated that to the supporters. So the main thing for me is he's got to get the supporters on board. You know, he's got the backing of the owners to say, right, we'll get you time. But it's the supporters that need to buy into that as well. And the only way you buy into that is winning games. And that's what he's got to do. He's got two big games coming up after the international. So these are important games. And if it was to take the points and the cup win out of that, I'm sure the supporters would buy into it and give him the time that he needs.
Yeah, winning games, Bob, obviously is the way to get fans on your side. But is that important for fans to see that he has been backed by the owners, as Ruffy mentioned?
Yeah, I think so, because that's probably one thing that you would say over the last three managers. They haven't really been backed. They've brought in players, but they've not really been backed with lots of money. For Rangers to spend that amount of money in one window is not seen that for a long time. But so that the club have backed him. Now it's his time to repay them, and the fans on the daft, they know that there's changes happening. They know that there's a playing style that he's got, but it's not happening now. So maybe he needs to change something to get that first one, and then once he's got that under his belt and the players are doing, then they can go back to that. But at the moment, he just needs to get that one under his belt.
Does this break come at a good time for him, just with the heat and the pressure that he was getting from the fans up until now? Probably, but it's like anything in it. If you're in that situation, you want the next game to come as quick as possible so you can get that one. But I don't know how many of the boys are away on international duty, so maybe it gives them a week and a half, 2 weeks to get them into the way he wants them to play. But as I say, he's got 2 weeks to do it. He's got Miovski coming in. I don't know if he's away on international. You will have some of them. Raskin's away, but maybe it's a good thing for him to get away as well and go and train with his national team and get out the spotlight for a couple of weeks. Yeah, and the two next games that we mentioned, Hearts and Hibs, Ruffy, they don't get any easier at Ibrox too.
No, Hearts and Hibs are the two teams that have actually got their act together this year. Last year it was an absolute shambles for the two of them. You know, they have produced in bits, you know, that they are better sides. They keep drawing games as well, which it wasn't encouraging. But they'll go to Ibrox knowing that they're better than what they are last year. They'll be hoping they can still catch Rangers, you know, in the rebuilding process. But it'll be an exciting game, and a game that everybody's desperate to see.
And as we've saw this season already, Bob, Ibrox can go one way or the other depending on what way Rangers play. This could really be on Rangers' side, or it can be a real cauldron for the players.
Yeah, it can be, and that's always been the case. You either use it to your advantage or it can go against you. But I think latterly, the last couple of years, it's teams are coming to Ibrox knowing that they've got a chance. Whereas years gone by, they knew that they were coming, and it was trying to keep it down to 1 or 2-0. But now they're actually teams are sitting in and having a go when they've got the ball. So it's good. It's good for Scottish football that teams are doing that, because it used to be a wee bit boring coming in and Rangers having 80% possession of the ball at Ibrox and not creating much because teams are sitting in. But so hopefully the teams will keep coming and having a go.
Is that
I've thought over the last 2 or 3 years that a lot of the players that Rangers are signing are coming for other clubs, and when things aren't going well, they get caught in the headlights. You know, they've come for clubs that they've never ever played in front of 60,000. You know, and it's great when you're playing in front of 60,000 and you're winning 2-0 and everybody's playing well, fans are roaring. But when it goes the opposite way and you can hear the fans, a lot of these players are getting into games and not having experienced that. How am I going to dig myself out of this? And unless you've got enough leaders on the park that have actually done it and know how to do it, I don't think at this moment in time Rangers have got that particular player on the park to help out the ones that are struggling a wee bit. So if he's brought a lot of people in, if they can adapt to the atmosphere of winning, obviously, and playing in front of the 60,000, it'll make it a lot easier.
Does that just come with having that experienced player, Bob, in there? Do you feel there's anyone really?
No, well, I've had a go at Tav over the past, but I do actually see him doing it in games now where he's trying to get the players going and he's trying to do things. But as Ruffy just said there, Glasgow's a total different. For anywhere, you can bring a player to London and they can walk about London city centre and nobody will know who they are or whatever. If you come to Glasgow and you play for one of the big two, if you're not doing well or you're not playing the way you should be playing or whatever, if you walk into the Glasgow city centre, you're getting stick from both sets of fans. And that's sometimes a lot for them to deal with because they don't get it for where they've been before.
Yeah, you mentioned a player earlier there, Nico Raskin. Rifts between managers and players aren't uncommon probably, but are you both surprised with the way this one has played out between Russell Martin and Nico
I'm
Raskin?
surprised it's panned out this way because I think he's a good player. You know, I think he's one of the better ones that were at the club already. But as we know, you know, these things happen. You fall out with a manager. It depends which way the manager goes. We don't know what's been said. We don't know how volatile it's been and what they've said to each other. You know, obviously his dad seems to have a lot to say. If his dad's phoning the manager, that's not a good thing either. Throwing his tuppence worth into it. But he's there just now. You know, obviously the window's shut. And he'll want to play for his country, and he's not going to get picked if he's not playing. So some kind of agreement needs to come somewhere. And at the end of the day, if they get him back on board, he's a good player. So it's an asset to the club.
Bob, do you agree there?
Yeah, they need to get him back on board. They need to come to an agreement. Listen, they both might not like each other. That happens. But he's one of the best players. He's probably their best midfielder. So he needs to play. For Rangers to win games, he needs to be in the team. And I get the manager, listen, if he's been spoke out of turn in training or whatever, then the manager's right to drop him if he feels that he's not right for the game at that time, but he needs to be on the team.
What would your thoughts be if you were a James Tavernier or a Conor Barron, guys who were very much involved last season and not this under Russell Martin, but you see the likes of Nico Raskin not happy and, you know, acting up. What would your thoughts be as a captain being in that dressing room and seeing that from one of your fellow players?
No, I think the captain, listen, I can only speak from my experience. If we weren't doing well, there was 10 people in the dressing room having a go, not just the captain. But have you seen with Le Guin, when Paul Le Guin was there, Barry wouldn't accept a draw at Inverness, which basically ultimately he came to the conclusion where he had to go, or Le Guin wanted him to go. But I think that everybody's got that bit in them. That Nico's obviously been captain when Tav wasn't playing last year, so he's trying to step up and be that man. Whether he's took it too far, I don't know. We don't know the conversation that's been. So it's a hard one, but I like the players. I don't even think the manager should be in the dressing rooms at half time, because the players should sort it out themselves if they're not having a great game. Then they dig themselves out. But this day and age, it doesn't seem to happen, does it?
The biggest thing in the lot is you can't have somebody walking about the dressing room. You know, even one person, you know, when all the other players aren't daft, they know what's going on. And if you've got somebody in the dressing room who has sort of no part of the team, it just disrupts everybody else, because they don't know what's happening either. And they know the quality he brings to the team. So, you know, I do believe they had him training with the reserves or something. They maybe moved him out the dressing room. You know, things like that. These things like that happen. But you've got to sort it out, because it's not as if it's a player you really want out the door. It's a player you want on the park.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's go from one of the big two to another. Celtic's transfer business has been slightly different. Roughly 10 signings, including loans and free transfers, spending a roundabout figure of 15 million, a £17 million difference to Rangers. Is that surprising to you?
I'm not surprised. I'm surprised, obviously, yeah. But I mean, I think it's the manner of the signings and when they are. And you have to be perfectly honest, for a team like Celtic, it's a shambles. It's a shambles the way they operate. They've got fantastic amounts of money. You would think in hindsight they would all be pulling in the right way to get the right player in at the right time. I mean, we're talking about 3 months ago, players should have been coming in. And you have to give credit to Rangers, because Rangers obviously needed players in, but they've acted very quickly. The director of football has brought people in, whether they're good, whether they're not, time will tell. But for a Celtic manager to say, he does not go anywhere till we get a striker in, and a striker doesn't come in. You know, there's just a lack of coordination somewhere between whoever it is, the director of football, the board and the manager will be going absolutely crazy. Okay, they might get a striker, but to come out with statements like that and they're not happening, it just doesn't look good for a club like Celtic. Yeah, they have brought in a couple of wingers, which we all needed. We knew they needed, but after the weekend at the beginning, I think everybody on the show yesterday was saying they need freshness. They look tired. It's the same players that have been playing all the time. I identified Callum McGregor, who is the best player they've had for the past 3 years. He looks tired. He's playing 60 games a year. He's in the team all the time. He's never rested. And that, I don't care who it is, that takes its toll on any player. And he is the main engine in that Celtic team. And I just think the players running about him aren't helping him. They're making him do all the major stuff on the park.
First part of Ruffy's point there, Bob, it definitely seems as if there's a few different people, manager, board, whoever, pulling in different directions when it comes to transfers.
Yeah, I think there's two ways to look at it. It's who brings the players in, and obviously the manager, if he doesn't fancy one of them, he wants them to go then. But it's the right timing. What do they want to do? They've probably got enough to win the league this year with what they've got, but as Ruffy just said, you look at the players like Kieran Tierney, Callum McGregor on Sunday, they look as if they're, and I know Kieran's just came back again this season, but he can't get through 90 minutes. He's been took off every game. Callum looks tired.
Does Maida looks a bit lone.
Yeah, but that's can be a confidence thing. He's been a striker and he's getting shipped to the left, and so it's not happening for them at the minute. But they're winning. They're doing what great teams do in the past. They're winning games, and that's what the old firm in the past used to do when they were doing well, even though they're not playing well.
I think Neil Lennon made a good point at the weekend that when Celtic are trying to bring in players, they're obviously bringing in higher quality. You know, maybe 8 million, 9 million, 10 million. And he made a good point. He said it's very difficult to bring these kind of players in if it's just playing in Scotland. Yeah. You know, if you're just playing against the Scottish teams, I mean there's teams in Italy and Spain and the likes would probably fancy them. So the only carrot that Celtic have got are Champions League football. Yep. I mean, if you're playing Champions League football and you're in the last group, if you're trying to buy a player at, say, £10 million, he's going to go, well, I'm going to put myself in the window, I'm playing Champions League football. But if you're not getting Champions League football, I think a couple of these centre-forwards have been trying to get, I've went, oh, wait a wee minute. I don't fancy it as much now. So that's a problem that they've also got, but they definitely need to get somebody in.
Striker Ruffy, you made a good point. You always found that Celtic had at least 3 options up front.
Always 3. I mean,
Don't have any.
I hate going away back to when I was there, but when I was there, we had Frank McAvinnie, we had Mark McGee, Andy Walker, 3 recognised strikers. Move it on 20, 30 years, Sutton, Larsson, Hartson. And I'm sure if you move it on again, there would at least be 3 number 9s at a team like Rangers or Celtic. They all had 3 strikers, and now, at this moment in time, they don't have a recognised 9. You can put Maeda in there, but he's not a 9, he's not an out-and-out striker, so that shows you where the problem is in the goal-scoring side.
Yeah, well, they are linked with Seville striker Kelechi Iheanacho. They were interested in him in January, but he chose to go to Middlesbrough. 4 goals in the 27 games for Seville and Middlesbrough. That's not a stat.
Has he been released though?
His contract has been terminated by Seville, yeah, so he is a free agent. Celtic could bring him in, but that's not a stat. That's
Yeah, but that is that. You want to bring, I know you can bring in players like that, but he played 3 games or something, or 3 friendlies at the start of the season, and he's hardly played in 30 minutes or something, 40 minutes in the 3 games. So that's roughly what we're saying. You need see if Rangers and Celtic are bringing in players that are 9 million, they need to be better than what's there.
Yes.
Any players that they're bringing in needs to be better than what's already there, or there's no point in bringing them in, because it's not a challenge for players that are there. And if they do bring in players that are better, it makes the ones that are playing that bit better as well, because I've got to challenge.
There's nothing better than Bob, there's nothing better if you're at a club and you've been at the club for 4 or 5 years and you know there's signings coming in, but when you're sitting in the dressing room and that door opens and the new signing comes in, see if he's up there, you're up there as well. You know you've got to raise your game. If somebody comes through that door, it's just pretty ordinary. I remember him when he was 20 and he was this or whatever. It's not the same, when you get a name coming through a dressing door, it just lifts the whole place.
Does a player's price tag make you think that way? If someone walks through the door, a 9, 10, 11 million pound player, you think, all right, okay, I need to up my game here.
No, I just think that the way football is now, the players are way overpriced. Like you see, 120 million for when's it going to stop if you pay somebody paying 125 million for a player? It's crazy, but I wouldn't say the price tag. I think more than the name. Like, you go back, Ronald de Boer coming to Rangers, when you would never have thought he would have been a Rangers player. And then Frank came. But guys like that, Mikel Arteta, he was a kid, but...
I'd love to have been in that dressing room when they all walked in, loud dropped the doors.
That's if you're a young kid and that's who you're competing with, then that can only make you a better player. If you're signing players that are, like, I'm not saying Adam Reid is not a great player, but he wasn't better than Kyogo. So if you're spending 9 million for him to replace Kyogo, then that's what the comparison.
Yeah.
But I don't know if is it the managers that are making the signings, or is it the what do you call them, the sporting directors or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the managers they're basically picking the team and coaching them.
Well, last bit on the big 2 then before we move on. The Old Firm fallout, a goalless draw on Sunday, a game, Bob, that lacked any real quality. Were you in disbelief at what you were watching from the 2 sides, or was it somewhat expected because of the way they both were coming into the game?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest, because I could see it coming because of the way the both of them were playing. Even though Celtic have been picking up points, they've not been playing great. And then obviously the midweek, the Champions League exit, and then Rangers going out as well. So I could see it coming, but you can never predict them games. One team can be flying, one team can be down the dumps, and then it can swing in that one game. As we've seen last season, Rangers won a couple that they probably weren't expecting to win. So I wasn't expecting what I was expecting. I thought it would be more tempo to the game. I think everybody looked tired, and even Rangers player, the young boy Kasama, I know he's been playing on the left, but he played on the right against Tierney, and he didn't really get into the game. And you got a young boy, 17, Mikey Moore, or 18 he is now, but what an experience for him. His first game, one of the first starts coming into an Old Firm game. So these kids can only get better, and obviously Celtic, they probably don't. Champions League in Europe, they needed to bring in signings to compete at that level, but maybe in Scotland they don't, and maybe that's why they've no went and spent the big money to bring them in. I know they tried, but it's not happened.
Ruffy, did that, obviously both managers, both sets of players would have wanted to win that game, but for Russell Martin, did it buy him a bit of time getting that point against Celtic?
Yeah, I think it suited both teams. You know, I think the longer the game went, you know, around about 75, 80 minutes, I think both teams had decided we're not going to score here.
Yeah.
You know, so as the game went on, I'm not saying everybody would be thinking, well, a draw's all right here, you know, because we're not going to get stick, we're not going to get it, and you're not going to get it. So I think at the end of the day, the draw suited both teams, probably both sets of fans as well, because you never want to get beat in a game like that, you know. So the way the game panned out, everybody's just moaning about the two teams, how bad they were. And that is better than moaning about a defeat, you know, because it doesn't matter what the score is, you know, you want to be the number one. But I just think it gives both of them time, the international break now. We're waiting to see if Celtic do bring in another couple of players in. As Bob's already touched, the new players coming in have got now a fortnight, sort of not them all, because a lot of them will be away, but he'll have the majority of his new signings to get the atmosphere turning up, because Bob tell you, walking into a new club like that is massive. Going to the training ground is massive. No, having to train with new players, you don't know how good they are. You don't know if they're better than you or you're better than them. You know, so everybody's sussing each other out, even at their own clubs.
Yeah.
You know, because you don't know the players that have come in. You don't know. You hear how good they are, but until you go in that training part, then you can see, you know, how good they are. So I think it just gives both teams time to settle.
You mentioned Miovski, Bob, earlier. Was he someone that you think can really do a job at Rangers?
Oh, definitely. He was going to the games through the last few years when he was playing with Aberdeen, was one of the standout players out with for him. Scores goals. He's good with his feet, both his feet, and good in the air. So you see, he tired at the end of the game as well, but you can see that the effort he put in. I don't know if he's had a lot of game time at Girona.
I think he said he only played 20% of their games.
So he's probably he's not 100% fit. So the saying about game with him is you'll get 2 weeks to catch up fitness, and I'm sure he'll be buzzing.
He's the kind of striker, I mean, Bob being in defence, he's the kind of striker defenders don't like, because he's mobile, he's got pace, he moves about, he's not going to just be a target man, he's not just going to say, right, put it into my feet, he's going to run the channels, and when you're a defender, they're harder to mark.
Yeah. And you see the penalty, it probably wasn't a penalty, but he put himself in that position to make the referee make a decision. It goes against him that time, but the next time it might no.
Yeah.
And that's what Rangers have been missing, that the strikers have been coming to play to feet and there's been nobody going in behind. Now that he'll run the channels, he'll do, he chase down defenders. So you've got something, that's what they've been needing, sorry.
And what a tough game to be thrown into. Straight off the plane into training, he said he was from the airport to the Rangers training centre and then flung into an Old Firm game.
Yeah, but that knows, you know, you've got a player who's committed.
Yeah.
You've got a player who knows he hasn't played enough game time. He knows he's not scored enough goals, but the manager believes throwing him in, you know, so that gives him a massive lift. This guy thinks I'm good enough to play in this game, so that's a massive bonus for him.
Yeah, well,
It's probably better for him, to be fair. He's not had much thinking time.
yeah.
Because the more you think, then the more something can go wrong. But he's probably better just being thrown in and deal with it.
Were you one of those players? Did you think about it the night before, or not really?
No, but the first game I played, the first Old Firm game was a semi-final, and obviously you're going as a kid, so you don't know, you're thinking that you're not going to be involved. And Dick Avocat pulled me the night before and told me I was playing. But so I didn't have enough. Didn't think about, like, sometimes the team would come out in training, and then you would go away and think about it. Oh, I'm playing, and start getting nervous and stuff. But I didn't have that time to do that, so it was good. I think that's mere man management.
What age were you then?
17, 18, yeah.
Ruffy, were you part of Old Firm games?
Yeah, I only played in the morning of the 5-1 game at Rangers.
Right.
Rangers won 5-1. I played in the morning. It was Celtic versus Rangers game, a reserve game, and I got an eye-opener of how big even these games are. There was 15,000 at the reserve game in the morning at Parkhead, and then obviously moving on to the bigger games. So the younger players get an idea of what it's like. I mean, Bob went in relatively early there, but for young players coming through at these clubs, you know, they know right away, this is what I've got to perform against. If I'm 15,000 at a reserve game, what chances?
Yeah.
The big games.
Going back to that, I think that's part of the problem why we're not bringing so much players through at this moment in time. There's no competitive football for the kids. It's all friendlies, or Celtic are playing in the B League.
B
B team are playing in the lower league, but Rangers don't. They have all their games are friendlies. So how do you? I had John Brown as a coach, and we played league games under 18s and reserves, and he was on your case every minute. But if they get beaten a friendly, it doesn't really matter. But they don't get that experience. Want to play. They playing like Ruffy said. I can remember Duncan Ferguson and Ian Durant played at Ibrox, one of the reserve games, and it was a full stadium.
Yeah.
In one of the games, so to play in front of that, it's mental for a kid.
Yeah.
I never played in that game, but for the other boys that played, it was mental. Playing in front of a full Ibrox in the reserve game, and it gives you experience. But now these kids that are coming through, the young boy Curtis at Rangers, he's been through in. I know he's been training with him for a while, but he's getting through in and he's done well. He's coped with it well, but I don't think there's enough of that happening.
I feel that's crucial then for them to make that move into the first team.
Yeah, you need to have a winning mentality, especially at Rangers and Celtic. You need to win every game. So if you're going into a team where if they draw a game it's acceptable, then it's just always going to be acceptable. Whereas back in the day it was never acceptable to draw or get beat.
Yeah, well, let's move on to some more signings across the country. Ruffy Kevin Nisbet signs a 3-year deal at Aberdeen, 13 goals for the Dons last season and a Scottish Cup to wrap it up.
Yeah, that's the reason why they went back in for him. You know, he's been a success. You know, he came in, I think he was struggling for fitness a wee bit early on, but once he got games under his belt, they know he can score goals in our league. And that's one of the reasons they've not went anywhere else. They are struggling a wee bit. Just they need a lifeline. They need somebody to put the ball at the back of the net. They create enough chances. They just don't have somebody in there, and he's certainly proved that he will score goals for them.
Impressive signing for you, Bob, for him to go back in.
Yeah, he definitely scored goals, but I'm more surprised that Celtic never had a week. I don't know if it's true, but I seen somebody putting on last night that they got him for 300 grand.
Yeah.
So for that money, that's nothing for Celtic. I would have took a punt on him. Even if he doesn't play all the games, they know that he can do it in Scotland. So, and they need a goal scorer. So I would have took the chance, but obviously he's went to Aberdeen, and I'm sure he'll do great there.
Yeah, well, Lyndon Dykes did look as if though he was heading to Hibs. Ruffy, but a deal broke down through wages. Is that a modern day problem?
There would have been a difference, wouldn't there?
Birmingham City.
Well, he's been to a few. He's been to a couple. He was at QPR as well.
It's been reported that it was
I think he'd been on a healthy wage there. I'm not even going to guess what the average wage at Hibs would be, but I don't think it'd be anywhere near what he's getting done in England. You know, sometimes you can compensate with these things. Maybe get a wee side signing on fee or something like that,
I think it's
something like that.
They can work it out. Where if Birmingham are wanting rid of him and he's got, I don't know how long he's got left in his contract, but if they owe him a certain amount, then they could maybe pay him something to go, and then Hibs match it up so that he's not missing out too much. But I seen.
Yeah, and the other thing you've got to watch that you're not upsetting the wage bracket. You know, if let's just take a number. If the Hibs players are on £5,000 and he walks in and he's getting 20 or 15, you know, that's not a healthy thing at a club like Hibs. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but if that could have happened, it's not a good feeling.
Is that a modern day problem? Wages, players are not happy with what they're getting?
I don't know. I see like it coming out in the press saying that somebody's on £50,000 a week or somebody's on £10,000 a week. I don't know how it comes out. How
do you know? Who's telling you? I know.
Do you know what I mean? The player's not going to go, Harry, I'm going to the dressing room, I'm getting £50,000 a week. But you're getting 20. They're not going to. They don't tell each other.
Is that agent chat then? Is that maybe?
Why would the agent want to? It's got to be somebody coming for the club.
Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And somebody that's in they know what's happening with the deal. But I've never ever got that. Somebody maybe go, he's on £40,000 a week, but he's really it's just somebody saying that. But it's crazy.
Ever a problem for you both? Felt you were worth more?
It was harder getting an extra 10.
See, to be honest, that your day probably more than mine. It wasn't about money for.
No, it wasn't.
Nobody.
It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't. Nobody went about saying, "Oh, I'm on the X amount," or "I'm on the." You were playing. You were doing something at 10 o'clock every morning for 2 hours, and you're in with your pals, and you're having and then obviously the pressure gets on the Saturday. But on a Saturday, you're enjoying it, particularly if you're winning, obviously. But you've got a chance in a lifetime to enjoy yourself.
And that's another thing where you look at the now these days where you've got kids that are at the old firm teams and then they get their head turned because they're getting offered 10 grand a week than playing in England, but they know that they're not going down there to play. They're going down because they're getting 10 grand a week. And is it better for them to stay and play in Rangers Celtic first team for a year or two and then maybe go? It's a chance to take, but they're going for the money first.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, final part of the show then, as we have just come to the end of the transfer window. Most memorable deadline day signings in Scotland. What big names come to mind? Stephen Davis from Fulham to Rangers in 2008. Went on to win 8 trophies with Rangers. Paul Hartley from Hearts to Celtic, 1.1 million in 2007. And Aaron Ramsey from Juventus to Rangers of more recently on deadline day. Any more of your time that you can think that came in late?
Deadline day way back in my time wasn't a big deal.
It was all done and dusted.
No, it was
Was there a deadline day? But I
don't remember.
I actually don't remember there being a deadline day.
I think it's a new thing, obviously, but as we said earlier, a new signing coming through the dressing room is great.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a right good player, but I can't think. All I can think of Celtic, Celtic used to be deadline minute. It was all the fans would be outside Parkhead at a minute to 12 or a minute by the deadline when they all be waiting and this new player coming in. And sometimes it was like Robbie Keane, Janino and all these.
Bellamy came in
right at the last minute, and it gets a buzz. But in my day, I don't remember anybody coming in late on.
You mentioned the De Boers. Of anybody else in your time at Rangers that you thought?
No, I think the board one sticks out because obviously the whole debacle with John Sutton. I can remember John Sutton being actually in the stadium, and then Ronald De Boer coming in as well. But they knew that they could only sign one of them, and they signed De Boer. But try and remember more deadline days,
or even just in the transfer window.
I think Torre Angelflo would have been a big one because of the price tag. Claudio Caniggia, probably for his age, but what an unbelievable player he was, even though he was about 75.
I think way back then the team, the supporters would be more excited with the Dundee supporters, with Caniggia and all them coming, and Ravanelli, And these are world-class players coming to Dundee. The supporters up there must have been having what's
that, to be fair, they were a good team. Even though they were an aging team, they were good. They were a good team to play against.
Any more last few moments?
No, I can't think any. No, at my team anyway, part of this. I don't remember anybody coming in through the dressing room for Alloa or East Fife or something like that. But no big players at all.
Yes, well, I'm sure all these new names to join the clubs will be in action very soon. We'll be across the whole country covering all the games, but for more additional content, please join us on PLZ Premium. Here's how you can do that.